We cannot talk about the impeachment ongoing in Washington every day. I'm going to get to that in the next segment, but I want to focus in the first five today on what President Trump is accomplishing despite the efforts of the American left to take down his presidency. President Trump, as all of you likely, or many of you likely know, spoke at the Davos conference, which is on just the 50th anniversary of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. I want to start by playing a clip by President Trump of his speech in Davos, and Matt, the very wonderful producer, has this. This is clip one, and again, this is the World Economic Forum, which President Trump is now speaking at for the second time. President Obama spoke there, previous presidents speak there. The world comes together, allegedly the world that's committed to free markets, but not really. But here we go, President Trump's comments at Davos yesterday.
Congratulations on your 50th year hosting the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum, a truly amazing achievement. It's an honor to address the distinguished members of this organization for the second time as president. When I spoke at this forum 2 years ago, I told you that we had launched the great American comeback. Today, I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before. We've regained our stride, rediscovered our spirit, and reawakened the powerful machinery of American enterprise. Just last week alone, the United States concluded two extraordinary trade deals, the agreement with China and the United States-Mexico-Canada agreement, the two biggest trade deals ever made. They just happened to get done in the same week. These agreements represent a new model of trade for the 21st century, agreements that are fair, reciprocal, and that prioritize the needs of workers and families. Before my presidency began, the outlook for many nations was bleak. Top economists warned of a protracted worldwide recession. The World Bank lowered its projections for global growth to a number that nobody wanted to even think about. Pessimism had taken root deep in the minds of leading thinkers, business leaders, and policymakers. Yet despite all of the cynics, I had never been more confident in America's future. I knew we were on the verge of a profound economic resurgence if we did things right. One that would generate a historic wave of investment, wage growth, and job creation. I knew that if we unleashed the potential of our people, if we cut taxes, slashed regulations, and we did that at a level that's never been done before in the history of our country in a short period of time, fixed broken trade deals, and fully tapped American energy, that prosperity would come thundering back at a record speed. And that is exactly what we did, and that is exactly what happened.
Folks, I know that was a little bit lengthy for an opening five segment, but I wanted to share that with you because there are several important points to realize about it. Number one, during this time that President Trump is over at the World Economic Forum speaking to a large number of world leaders gathered to talk about the world's economic situation, he's giving that speech while back in the Senate, in our country, the U.S. Senate, the Senate is hearing the impeachment trial brought to them because of the House brought two articles of impeachment and passed two articles of impeachment against the president. My point is, President Trump is so committed to and clear about what he thinks that he's over there talking about the tremendous economic growth in America and the turnaround in America because of his commitment and his following through on the free market principles he stands for, the idea of America resurging with a free market economy, the idea of bringing jobs back to America, insisting on fair trade deals, reducing regulation, reducing taxes, inspiring the growth of the private sector in America. He believed in what he ran on. He carried it through. He carried it out and is carrying it out during his presidency, and he's over there talking about it. It's especially significant because at this World Economic Forum, this Davos conference, over the years, the conference is, as you heard him say, this is the 50th anniversary of it. Over the years, this conference that started out being a discussion about the world's economic situation and how we're all doing has morphed into a gripe session by socialist countries or socialist-minded countries complaining about wealth inequity, complaining about the need of the wealthy countries to just give more money away to other countries, complaining about climate change, and essentially using this forum to criticize freedom, to criticize free markets, to criticize the idea that free markets create abundance. President Trump knows that. He is talking to them not just about how great America is doing, how well our economy is thriving, how well our economy is working and jobs are back, and we have a booming economy and a growing economy and low unemployment, all the numbers we've talked about in the show so many times. But he's really standing up for the idea of economic freedom in a place where it became very trendy over the last several years to have socialists talk about criticizing freedom and free markets. One I want to mention in particular, this is an article and it's on our website. If you go to our website, americacanwetalk.org, on the homepage under shows, drop down list of links, you can go to get to this article. A gentleman who happens to be a friend of mine, he's also a renowned economist, a great writer, Dr. Merrill Matthews, wrote about this shift in the World Economic Forum and how unique it was that Trump is there saying, hey, we're actually here to talk about freedom and free markets, and we're not going to get sucked into this socialist, criticism of wealth, criticism of success agenda. So one fact to share with you. Adair Turner, he's a former head of the UK's bank regulator. He's a regular at the Davos conference, and he said something a few years ago. We are past peak laissez-faire in many ways. Laissez-faire is a term they use in economics, and my high school French, I'll tell you, it means to let do or let it go or let the free market rule. Laissez-faire is kind of the government stepping back and letting the market do things. He says we're past that. We, this socialist from Britain, said we're past the idea of free markets or laissez-faire. We passed it in the financial system 10 years ago, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he went on and on. This guy has made comments, as have others, at this World Conference about being critical of successful nations, critical of the development of strong economies and free market economies. President Trump also used the occasion to take a couple cuts, a couple jabs at the climate change activists who are there, of course. Greta Thunberg, whom I truly actually feel sorry for. I think she's not mentally well. But Greta Thunberg blasted them again with some idiotic, uninformed statement. And President Trump, having none of it, pretty much said, never mind about her. We're going to move on with reality. But I want to commend President Trump. In the course of this time when he is serving as president, our country is going in the right direction in countless ways. The Senate's trying to remove him. The Democrats are trying to remove him. And he is over in Davos celebrating again the things he stands for and ran on, which are basically the resurgence of freedom, the resurgence of idea of a free market economy, bringing people up, and the resurgence of the idea of America as a country rooted in freedom and not in the slightest embarrassed about America's success because of its commitment to free market ideas. And that, my friends, is today's First Five.